Okay, thank you. Well, welcome back to day 2. Let's kind of just remember a little bit about what we talked about yesterday. What was something that you remember that we talked about?
We discussed adult education methodology, particularly Malcolm Knowles' Andragogy, and how we can both celebrate and leverage adults' life experiences in making meaning and contextualizing math applications.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Anybody else remember anything we did or talked about yesterday?
Well, I have in my notes a little bit about transformative learning
Mhm.
that we also need. Well, we talk a lot about this, but boy, is it so important that we have that trusting, empathetic environment. We have to create that climate for learning that's cooperative.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we went through a little bit of the 5 assumptions,
Mhm.
which I will let somebody else to discuss. I put my little bit in there, but I found a lot of that to be very, I had heard some of this stuff before, but it was important to kind of look at it again, especially I worked with before this, when I did do some teaching, I worked with at-risk kids. So I worked with teenagers. So it's really important to hear some of this stuff and go, oh, okay, now that makes a lot of sense. So
Mhm. Good. Thank you for that feedback, Darcy. Jeremy, I saw you unmuted. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess this kind of falls under what Darcy just said, but I remember that the majority of adult learning is self-directed,
Mhm.
and so how to inspire that and make that happen.
Mhm. That's very well put. A lot of times I know that when students first come to a program, they're not necessarily sure about what it's going to be like for them. And, to get them through the door, to get them registered, to get them to start coming, those are all self-directed, or some type of force in their life is causing them to want to make a change. And so just kind of helping them and supporting them in that journey, letting them know that, as an adult, that they're what they think, what we value what they think, and we want to create a cooperative type of learning environment. So yeah, we did talk about andragogy yesterday, and self-directed learning and transformational learning. Y'all hit all the buzz. We did talk about writing and math, and talked about, leaving space and time in there to do that reflection, because as adults, we do learn more when we can reflect on the process. It just kind of, I used to tell students that math has to marinate, and so this is part of that marination type of a process of letting it just kind of soak in just a little bit more. So today we are going to continue about understanding adult learners and their characteristics and motivation. And we are going to apply these principles to create a supportive environment. So we're going to build upon prior knowledge, and we're going to do some active learning, and we're going to address any math anxiety you may have, and offer some flexible instruction. And then, of course, always give time for reflection. And I did promise that today would be more type of a hands-on, so you could get an idea of what a lesson would look like, and kind of how to facilitate that. And so, yeah, we'll be doing a lot with breakout groups, and working together, collaborative, and also individually, and in a digital space. So allowing for time for that, as well as addressing any anxiety that you may have, and building upon a context of a real life application. So we're going to do an activity. It's called Body at Work. Has anybody heard of this activity before or seen it? Okay. all of you have this curriculum, so this might be an idea for you to think about how you can incorporate this lesson into your classroom. So we're going to work in groups together. We're going to do one activity first, activity A. And then that one you're going to do together. But I'm going to go ahead and keep you in your groups for the activity B part, because it's all just one big activity in the directions it will talk about individually as well as groups. And it's free for you guys to talk with each other. If you get hung up on something, I will be popping in and out of the different groups and listening in and answering questions if you have anything. I just said that. And then I'll give you about 30 minutes for this work. If we need a little bit more, that's fine, or a little less. I just kind of targeted 30 minutes. It's not a hard deadline by any means, so don't worry. Don't think that you have to rush through it. It's much better for you guys to spend time just kind of thinking through the process and what's going on. And then we'll debrief from that activity. And then we'll take a little break from that, and then we'll come back and do activity 2, which 30 to 40 minutes. And for those of you that are level up higher level, I do have an extension activity. For those of you that don't get to the extension activity, that's fine too. I think that you'll see how this is going to work out really well. So any questions on what we're going to be doing today? Okay. All right, so I am going to put you in groups, and I'm going to give you access to a Google Doc that you can manipulate and fill out. So let me put those first in there for activity 1. There should be 4 groups of you, so I have them labeled by their different groups. Okay, so now let's put you in your group so you know where you need to go. Let's see here. Groups. And we'll put you in 4. So and, okay, hang on. They should be open now, and you should be assigned to your different groups.
Do you see an activity, or am I missing something? Can't hear you. You muted.
It's in the chat. It's Body at Work Group 2. I don't know what it is. I just pulled it open. I don't know what it is. Sorry.
Okay. What a body in pain.
Body in pain. Oh,
I did my therapy this morning, and it was like, yeah, I feel good. And I got to work. I'm like, holy crap, I don't feel good.
well, that will definitely affect your heart rate and your blood pressure. I mean, when you're in pain, ugh, that's not good.
And I'm trying to do family focus invoicing. So do you think that affects my blood pressure?
Ooh. Yes, definitely. Not in a good way. Okay, I'm looking for a stopwatch. I don't have a watch.
I was
Ooh,
looking for, okay. Reset. No, we don't want to do that. We want to do timer. Kind of hard to hit your timer and time yourself.
well, I know.
Here, I got it. I'm just gonna go 16 and then hit it.
I can't, I can't find my pulse. Sorry. It's a bad sign, right? My God.
Conveniently, 20. Because it's easy multiple.
There you go.
Create a rule.
Oh, I keep losing track.
You want me to time it for you?
Ah, I have a clock. It's perfect, but I keep, anyway.
It's hard to watch the clock and do it. Okay,
It is.
are you ready?
I have got to find my
You
pulse. I
can't do
can't
it
find
here
it.
on your wrist.
I really,
It's right there.
I can't find it. I know I have one. Sorry. I cannot find
I
it.
don't push very hard. It's right below your wrist bone. Like 2 fingers below.
I cannot find it.
Really?
Honestly,
Here,
I can find it in my
check your
carotid
heart.
I was just at the doctor yesterday. My
Karen's
blood
not alive. She's not alive.
pressure alive. Hey, my blood pressure is great. Sorry.
Okay, so tell me when you found it.
I have found it on my carotid artery, so
Okay, you
I'm that
ready?
I am ready.
Go. There you go.
Okay. 18.
Awesome.
Is that good? I don't know if that's
I don't know
good.
if that's good or not.
I'm alive. I
In your
found it.
case where you can't feel it on your hand.
I think there's too much excess packaging there or something. Anyway, okay. All right. So that was 15 seconds.
Yes, that was for 15 seconds.
Ike.
Why did I do that? Only 2 years. Okay, so your rule is you take your number of heartbeats for 15 seconds and you take that times 4 to get your beats per minute. Is it anything more than that?
Well, I don't know that it would be anything different, right? 60 divided by 15 is 4, multiply. So makes sense. I feel like I'm missing something.
So do I.
Does that make sense? Why can't I pull this down?
So it would be. So it'd be the 4 times beats per minute.
4B.
Oh, or beats per second. Okay, wait. So you take your beats per second times 4. So it's 4x equals your minutes per minute.
per minute.
So 4 times the seconds. I should be down on the other one. Times, no, equals beats per minute. Is it really any harder than that?
Well,
I don't know.
I know, that's what it's like. I think I vaguely remember doing this activity, but I can't remember.
That's all it is.
And it's gotta be it.
It also
15,
becomes like a T-chart, which they do not teach in school, but I think is really still important. The old,
well, we need to know how to read charts. We teach them that I teach them in reading class. Because they're very intimidated by charts and graphs.
so this is like a T-chart.
Mhm.
So if you use your total number of heartbeats. Take like 80. So that would be 400. Right? Is that all that is? 400. 400.
Got a page down. Let
Is
me
it
find-
anything other than that?
Well, I gotta read. Here we go. Having a terrible time paging down here. So
Just on your own piece of paper. Whatever. We copy it.
all right. So 1 minute is 72.
So if you do this chart for yours, it's gonna be lower than mine because
Yeah,
yours is 72.
mine is 72.
Okay, so I'm gonna put my name on this one. And then yours would be on the other one. How's that?
Sounds like a good idea. I wish I was in the office with dueling computer screens. I'm so, I don't know how we ever survived without that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and you went for how long without hooking yours up? That always killed me.
I know.
Now I sometimes think I want 4, but I really don't know how you'd set it up.
Well,
Or 3.
3 would, sorry. That would be very exciting. 720. And 30. Oh, wow.
Write a rule for finding the total number of times your heart beats if you know the number of minutes it has been beating. Okay, so you take 80. Does that make sense? Multiply the heartbeats per minute times, no, heartbeat per minute times
I don't know.
reference.
Number of times your heart beats if you know. Well, okay. What's the time frame? It's like from the day you were born.
It doesn't say, it just says any
I-
amount of time, right?
So, So how many minutes are there in a year?
So it would be, for me, it would be beats, beats. I don't know.
By your heart.
Check the rule by entering the number in the table. Well, I already know that works. So cool that you're a Loris on mine.
What's that?
You're a Loris on mine when you go.
Okay. Hmm. Anonymous moose. I'm sorry. I think that's funny.
So if we do. I should probably reverse this because it would just be easier.
Oh, Nelly. I didn't mean to do that.
Are you on a laptop? That's so much harder.
It is. It is. It's
People who are like, oh, I really like to work on a laptop are crazy.
well.
Okay, so if I take 80 times 5, it's gonna equal, oh yes, 400.
40. And 72 times 5 is 360. I don't know.
Putting yours in your chart.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it? I'm sorry.
I don't care.
Well, I've got it. I wrote it down.
That works. It's not on your own piece of paper.
Well,
I was just rebelling.
hey, that's good. All right. Rebelling is good. Like I said, why? 72. 360. I really miss the two screens. Okay, I'm whining. I'll stop now. And
Gosh, we got bad here.
0, 10, 3, 6, 8, 0. That seems like a lot, or maybe not.
Well, that was 115, so yours would be under mine.
It's such a big number. Anyway,
It's a day.
it's a day. I know I have to
24
remember.
hours.
Well, I worked it out for a week and it was 725,000. So that's a lot. Assuming I did it right. Yeah, I think so. Anyway. Okay. Do this on a rated rule.
Oh, I think this is supposed to be another page.
Well, how many pages are there? I'm sorry.
Oh, I really messed up, sorry. 1, 2, 3, come on. Go up here. There we go. Write a rule for finding the number of minutes your heartbeat if you know the total number of heartbeats. We already did that.
We already did that.
Did it? It's right here.
Well, see, that's why I'm wondering, what's
Did I miss something?
that was what I was wondering. What did I miss because we did it? Write a rule for the number of minutes your heart beats if you know the total number of minutes.
Well, I did it right here.
72 M. That anyway.
Did we just write the rule up here? Yeah, we wrote it right here.
Up there. I don't know. That's why I'm
Here,
wondering.
I'd be like C number 2.
Number 2.
So I don't know what I'm missing here and not understanding.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
1,000,000 times. Okay. So for me, I took 1,000,000.
Oh. About how long would I know it take for your
1,
heart
2, 3.
divided by
divided by 80 beats per minute, that would equal
72.
12,500 minutes. Oops.
Oh my, Lanta.
Okay, if I divide that by 60 minutes in an hour, it's like 208 hours. And I divide that by 24 hours in a day, about a little over 8.5 days.
Is that a guesstimate?
No, I did it on a calculator.
No, because I must, maybe I've added an extra zero or lost a zero.
Maybe I did it wrong.
3, 1, 2, 3. I have to count my zeros.
So you got 1 million, and then you
I-
divide that by, yours would be by 72,
Me too.
which would be 13,888.88.
888.
That'd be how many minutes? And then if you divide by 60 minutes in an hour, you'd be at 231 hours. It's gonna take you more hours than me because mine beats faster.
Yeah,
So you have
that's right.
331.5 hours, and then if you divide that by 24 hours in a day, it'd be 9.64 days.
9.6. Oh, geez.
So, yep. A little over a week. We got. My dad's super, super slow. It's like 50 beats per minute, 48 to 50.
That's like my dad's was. It was like he had low blood pressure, which is a thing. I know.
Yes, it is.
He didn't get worked up about anything. Don't know why I can't be more like that. No. Anyway,
When we put that in there, I suppose I should have. Did you write that down?
I wrote it down. Yeah.
Divided by 72 equals, what did that equal? How many minutes?
13,888.88.
Then you divide. Or, so how much is, how many hours?
231.48.
And how many days?
9 points.
0.65 actually would be. How do you know? I did it on a calculator.
I did it on a calculator. Exactly. Exactly. Have my phone. It's great. No. All right. Too much fun.
So I see these a lot with my son. Where they have him write the rule and then put the rule out there, you know, or like put it in words, put it in equation. What would this do for your students?
Well, we've been asked, they've asked them to do that.
Mhm.
And I have several students that are former English language learners. And sometimes it's difficult for them,
Oh, the
To do-
vocabulary.
the vocabulary. And the word problems are really hard for them. For some of them, I should say. More so than the native language learners, I think. But they really struggle with it.
But is it because of the vocabulary?
I think so. I think so. And I know, Nikita has a vocabulary list and I want to get a more, extensive one for geometry, because we're going to be starting geometry
So,
again.
so do you like put that link into your chat so they can click on it and see it, or?
Well, some of them are doing it on their phone, so it's more of a struggle for them.
Yeah, so how,
I like to send them emails with it on there so that they can, you know.
but if it's on their phone and you take class on your phone, it's really hard to access your email too.
But I tell them, for me, writing stuff down helps me. And I know, because in class, Jimmy is really a good one, because he'll write down the answer, but tell me how you did it. Write down how you worked through that answer, because it will help you remember in the future. And so I think if they can, get it and write it down, read it through it again, I don't know. I keep trying to, I know, what would Jimmy do? Which is a terrible way to look at it, but
Well, and depending on their language abilities. I mean, like the son who has dyslexia, asking him to write stuff down when he just gets it in his head is also, it stops his learning process.
oh gosh. Well, and this is, and I had a question about Jimmy. And I know I feel terrible always bringing up Jimmy, but he will give me an answer, and 5 minutes later it'll be the same thing, and he won't know how to do it
Oh,
or what to do. And I'm like,
so getting it from his short term to his long term memory,
that,
or even not, it's not even long term.
not even long term.
What is that called when it's like an hour later?
Hey, well, not even an hour. I wish it wasn't an hour. I don't know, but
Well, it isn't even going into short term memory.
it isn't, and it's like, we were adding negative numbers, negative positive numbers, and it's change the sign of the second number and add. I said that, and that's the rule that we learned. And then I do we have the parentheses with the negative number inside. So I highlight that as a big plus sign, because it's like, okay, remember, it's like a giant plus sign, just like as a visual for him. And he, out of the blue, he goes, change the sign of the second number and add. I didn't have to say it. And it's like, yes, he got it. And then 5 minutes later, oh. So I don't know. Anyway,
Is he a pictorial learner? Like if he has more pictures, does it imprint on his brain or not?
I don't know. Maybe I should try that. I know, because I put everything on the screen, and we walk through it. We step by step.
But if
And
they relate it to something in their life, like real life, which is really hard when you're doing negative numbers, other than a negative bank account, which is literally impossible anymore.
That-
Depth going down, like underwater.
we
I
did
don't know. I just don't know if pictures might give him a retention. Or
and
not.
and anything that helps him helps
Mhm.
some of the other students, and which is great. I don't know.
But the fact that because he had his traumatic brain injury, right?
Yep. A
You know,
stroke and surgery. Yeah, that's.
I just remember that 100,000 years ago when I was in the classroom, and I worked with kids who were in an inhalant unit. They were they had chemical dependency issues. It ruins those synapses in your brain. So I kind of think it's the same concept. And you had to find other ways, like around the traditional here to here. You had to go like and find the other one that went down there to go. And that was really.
And that if you can get them built up and stronger faster.
And you might
Oh,
never build them up, but you might find alternative pathways for his brain to work on. I think sometimes they're so damaged that it's nearly impossible. They just can't receive, or, you know, I don't know.
I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see what other people suggest.
Are you guys are done, aren't you? Just
Yeah.
checking. Okay, all right. I'm just checking in with the other rooms.
Okay.
I never even looked. Is there anything else that she wants to know? Is that it?
Well,
Thanks.
we kind of skipped that number 3 because I thought we already
Oh.
did it.
Well, see number 2.
I'm wondering if I didn't duplicate that somehow.
Oh, I don't know. Like I said, it takes me so long to get up there.
When I copied and pasted, if I didn't duplicate it,
I don't know.
I might have. We just leave it out and then you won't even know.
My dog ate my homework. No, sorry.
Well, I don't think it goes with anything. I think I did it. I think I did it.
I don't know.
No, it's written different. No,
Is it? Is it?
oh, no, it's the same.
Oh,
I think I just duplicated it. I'm just gonna delete it. Cause I really do think I just duplicated it when I copied and pasted. That makes more sense. I think that was on me.
oh, oh, I think it works.
And I think you're right. You know, some of this is pretty straightforward concept because there's no negative. There's the X is really your beats per minute or your whatever, you know, so, or second or whatever. So people can, it's a little more concrete.
That's easy. And everybody has a heartbeat, right?
Well, I don't know, Karen. I was getting a little nervous.
I swear, I can't,
Really?
I really can't. But my carotid artery, I can find it.
Mine is, I can actually see mine under my skin
Really?
if I watch it enough. I have a really strong heartbeat. It may wear out, but
Oh, I think I found it on my wrist.
okay.
Sorry.
It's
So
about 2
excited.
fingers, it's just about 2 fingers down from where your wrist.
Huh.
You know what I think would be interesting in this one? Do this like 4 times to see if it's always 20 or always 18.
See, that's it.
That
Well,
way you can see if it's, you know, so you get an average. So
An
for 4
average,
times
yeah.
you get an average. I think that would be good.
That would be good.
I'm gonna-
Or
I put that in, oh, shoot.
after,
Text color.
after some activity, see how it changes. Now I lost it again. Oh no, I lost my heart. No. Oh well.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, well, okay, no big deal.
Okay, if I fall out of the picture and you hear a thud.
That's just Karen. She's heart quit beating.
Oh no, sorry.
There, I added that to the top. An idea. That's
And
funny.
I mean, because then we work with average and that's always good.
Well, and like you said, it's just a matter of when you start the beat on the timer.
That's it. It's like, is it an upbeat or a downbeat? Okay, sorry.
Like you said, you're watching the clock, so you forget, you stop counting because you're watching
Oh,
the clock.
exactly. Okay, now what number was it on? Oh, was it on 20? I don't know.
Hey, 15's over.
I think that's good.
Yeah, because he's human.
Right. Welcome back, everybody. I think I'm gonna have you guys kind of share out your different, what happened in your group and share out your different, what you've done. So let me stop my share. And do we want to just go in order? Group one, do you want to share first?
So before we share our process, one thing that occurred to me, because I've worked in healthcare as a CNA, and so we actually did the beats per minute times, and we, unless you needed a super accurate heart rate, this is exactly what you would do. You would take the pulse for 15 seconds and multiply it times 4. And so something that occurred to me is that every single one of those CNAs in a nursing home or in hospital is doing algebra, but
Mhm.
they don't know it. Like if you ask them to write it as an equation, they probably couldn't, even though it's easier actually, if you know how to express it as an equation.
Mhm.
So we went through though, and we each took our pulse for 15 seconds and then calculated it per minute, which of course we take times 4. So our written description was take the beats per 15 seconds times 4, because 15 seconds is 1/4 of 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. And then we came up with the rule 4S equals, well, we first of all, we defined that S is the beats per 15 seconds, so that's our variable. And M is going to be our answer, so that's our beats per minute. And we came up with 4S equals M, and you can see there Nikita was kind of explaining the process for how she would teach this. Nikita, do you want to kind of talk about that? How you showed how you can do it in different orders?
Oh, yeah, so if you look at where it says 4S equals M and then the stuff below that, actually I can
You wanna
highlight
sh-
it.
Well, here, you want, yeah, go ahead.
So
go.
I just that the top one is kind of the standard form that you'd typically see, but if you got one of these other, if you wrote your problem one of these other ways, that's not wrong. So 4S equals M is the same as 4 times, or S times 4 equals M.
And
And I
guess who
liked
found
where-
out she could do a little algebra? Me. Jeremy and Nikita really like just breaking it down that way. We had a real conversation about working with students and how sometimes a student has to see it a certain way to be able to understand it. And then, of course, Jeremy brought up about the CNAs. It was a lot of fun.
So I have a question. Could you have taken your beats per minute and added them 4 times?
Yep.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
In fact, Nikita, you right before we got called back in here and we were working on part 2,
Mm.
Nikita was kind of explaining that too. So, and I think depending on where the student's at, you might have to do that, right? To show that, look, this is what multiplication is. Take this plus this plus this plus this. But look, that's so hard. That's so long to do that. Is there an easier way we can express that?
Mhm.
This is also
And
where like your grouping, cubing and all that stuff would go really well together.
Mhm.
The visuals
Yeah.
of that,
This would work
because you're
really
breaking
well
it out
with
that way, yeah.
kids. Yeah.
So you're just really trying to meet students where they are. And yeah, so this good conversations. Every time I popped in, you guys were having a good chit chat. All right. What about group 2? That would be Kim and Karen.
I didn't have a heartbeat there for a while. Or a pulse.
That really put us off for a bit. We were a little behind because Karen wasn't beating.
I couldn't find it. It was horrible. We decided I really wasn't dead, but touch and go for a second there.
It is, if you haven't done it in a while, it is kind of like, oh, yeah, my pulse. I have a pulse somewhere. Yeah. Exactly. Good. And then I see you guys came down here and you wrote 80. Can you explain maybe your rule a little bit?
Mine was that was based off, like, I was doing 80 beats per minute times
Uh-huh.
the number of minutes equals the beats for a period of time. Which is just another way of writing the exact same formula that Nikita was doing, so you could have written it. I think also
Mhm.
expressing, that's a great idea, that, you know, you can write it a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then way up at the top in red, the one thing
Way
I
up
did
at the
kind of as an after discussion was, you know, that's probably not real accurate. So if you wanted to incorporate some averages in there or some other types of math, you could say, okay, but take it 4 times. And now let's come up with your average. And then, so you could add a whole nother element to the assignment that way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I like that.
And, you know, thinking on that, I don't know how viable this is, but, you know, gosh, could you stand in place and I know you're not going to do jumping jacks or anything, but I mean, elevate it, and because to me, and maybe we're skipping ahead here, but group 3, when we got to part 3, and I had taken the long way to calculate it, and Elena and Robin are like, well, John, why don't you already calculated your beats per day? Why don't you just divide that? And so it saved me 2 steps because I had added 2 more calculations to that. So I feel it's akin to sort of like multiplication or that 4-part addition you were doing earlier. But then what was striking to me is how many more beats I had than Elena, right? It took her like days to get to that point, 2 more days than it did me. And you could have some real conversations about health literacy.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to do it and then see if you could get your heart rate to go slower instead of faster. You know, like I think in the book it's an activity to, you know, then do an activity that raises your heart rate and then uh, uh test it. But it'd be kind of fun to do an activity to maybe lower your heart rate and see.
Maybe doing the deep breathing
Like
thing
that.
for
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
And show
Which-
them. Oh yeah, go ahead.
That
Cool.
then that would lead into yeah, kind of talking about uh test anxiety uh and teaching students to see the physical changes or see their changes in, you know, different changes in themselves when they're uh testing and you know, to kind of be aware of it and notice when they're really stressed and then kind of how to get back down to a baseline.
Mhm. Luke, do you want to talk about what you and we lost Ruth, didn't we? Do you want to talk about, you've got all kinds of cool stuff on your page here.
Yeah, so we figured out that you in words you would multiply beats per 15 seconds by 4, that would be beats per minute. And as an equation, I tried to do ratios and proportions. That's where my mind immediately went. And then we cross multiplied and then divided to get 84 beats per minute. And then there was another way Ruth came up with hers.
Yeah, I'm here again now. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Thank God.
I've got really, I'm sorry, I've got really weak internet. I have to work from home because of just computer issues at the right turn. And so yeah, but unfortunately the signal's really weak here or kind of touchy. So I've been in and out of this meeting several times. But anyway, yeah, the other way, Luke had a great idea to use the proportions, but then I don't even know what the fancy name for this is. I tell my students it's the beauty treatment where we're multiplying by a unit fraction. We have some really weird name for one, like 60 seconds over 1 minute, because 60 seconds is the same as 1 minute. So that fraction is the same as 5 over 5 or 29 over 29. It's just another name for one. And we chose to set it up that way because we had 21 beats per 15 seconds. We wanted to end up with beats per minute. So we put the 60 seconds on top so they'd cancel with our 15 seconds on the bottom, and we could get rid of the seconds and just be left with beats per minute. So how we set up that 60 seconds per minute was strategic based off of the 21 beats per 15 seconds. So we're taking Luke's data there and we're multiplying it by a weird name for one so that it'll look different when we're finished multiplying. And we couldn't show the corner canceling, but you can kind of see it there. You know, the seconds cancel with the seconds, the 15 cancels with the 60. And when Luke was doing my data, then he went ahead and showed our thoughts. So if we jump down to my beats, you know, same setup, but then on the second line, he showed what it looks like after the canceling. Okay. So there, the 60 seconds over 1 minute is now just a plain old 4, no units because those canceled, over 1 minute times the 17 beats per one, because the 15 seconds canceled out with the 60 seconds, which makes the arithmetic the easiest, you know. So 68 beats per minute. And the thing
Yeah.
that's nice about that way is when you have really things with messy units and you got to change a bunch of units, you just plug in all those different names for one and let corner canceling clean it up.
So just like Kim added a different layer to hers, talking about the average, you know, to find the average, this is, you know, you're showing conversion, like a way of converting values and stuff. So,
But I thought we were just supposed to do the first part. Luke,
no.
did you know any differently? I didn't know to go on to part 2. I thought that was later. So
No,
we
that
just
was
kinda-
individually. That was for
We
you
put all our
individually.
heart and soul into that.
That's okay. Because you know what? It's going to happen in the classroom. So that's fine. Because I mean, students, you know, that's self-directed. We want you to, you know, what your deep dive in. I mean, you did do some different type of math, you know, heavy lifting type of math. So, yeah. So, any challenges besides Karen not being able to find her, see if she's alive?
In being vulnerable, I misread number 2 and was calculating beats per minute instead of total heartbeats. So I actually overheard my colleagues speaking, and then I thought, oh, so I self-correct.
That's awesome.
Then we had group conversations, but to me, that is a good example of how the heuristic learning sometimes manifests in the classroom.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
One
Good.
challenge I noticed being a Zoom teacher is that sometimes there were things that you know, we've all got the Google Doc open, but sometimes the thing I wanted to explain wasn't really like a type it out kind of thing. It was like I wanted to draw, so trying to explain what I was trying to say with the tools that I had without doing too much, you know, like I could have there's ways to incorporate the drawing in there, but not with the kind of capacity that we would have for an activity like that.
This is coming from someone who teaches online all day. So then she wants her things back.
Yeah.
Well, I do so many visual, like so many sketches of things, or like that's how when I'm trying to explain something, that's how I'm explaining it. I'm not, you know, it's too kind of like maybe linear with typing. So that was a bit of a challenge that I would want to think about if having my students do group work.
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you, Nikita, you could have shared in your group, you know, your screen and pulled up one of your whatever you're using that you write on, you know, and I mean, so
Yeah.
that is an option.
Yeah, there's definitely options. It would be something that as a teacher I'd have to plan ahead
Yes,
and
yes.
explain to my students, you know, this is how you would do that.
Yeah, a little bit of tech training. Yes. Yep. Okay. All right. So, did you feel supported as you worked through the activity? Did you feel like it was something that you could accomplish? I didn't lecture to you guys. I just said go and do. Did you feel like you could do that fairly well? Anybody struggle? I kept popping in, listening for struggle, but everybody was having good conversation.
I just want to say it kind of for the first one, but I had stepped out to go to the bathroom, and when I came back in, I saw on the screen the feverish adult and the baby, and I thought that John and Robin had picked names for themselves, and I thought that was like the creative writing part of the lesson. So I was challenged to like think of a malady for myself.
That's hilarious. That's
And
great.
then who was the baby and who was the adult?
Right.
That's funny. Yes, great. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you think this is something that you could incorporate easily into your classes? Would this meet the needs of your students as they're studying? I see Darcy shaking her head. I know Darcy liked it. I'm glad that you did, Darcy. I know that algebra scares you, so I appreciate you. Yeah. All right, so I show that it is 2:03, so why don't we come back about 2:13 and then we'll start on the next piece of this, okay?
So I made homemade olive tempanada with hummus. Oh my gosh, I'm addicted.
How long does that take to make?
About 30 seconds.
Wow.
The
Is it
LD,
like a,
it's like there we go. Like chopped up olives, but honestly, when I go to LD, they have these olives in the refrigerator department. They have all different kinds of stuff, olives in them. So you don't even need to buy all the different kinds of olives. You just buy the pack and you chop it up with your lemon juice and garlic and all that stuff and run through your food processor.
can you say what it's called again? Because that sounds good.
It's olive tempanade. Tapenade. Oh, there we go. John got your recipe already. There you go.
Yeah, and that's from Sanaa here in Sioux Falls.
Oh.
She was married to former Senator Jim Abarisk, and she's got a restaurant and a multiple what is it, Beard Chef, that chef award, the Beard.
James
Anyway,
Beard Awards.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And then you eat it with cute baby cucumbers. It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I've also made the hummus homemade too, but it seems like a lot of work. It's just easier to go to Walmart and get it for like $2.39, $2.69.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So we're going to continue on with this activity. There's a second part to it. I will post it in the chat and put you back in your groups. If you find that you get done, I do have an extension activity. I want to spend some more time on this. We are still looking at our bodies at work. And so here are the new documents for you to jump into. And I am going to open those breakout rooms. Okay, they are open now.
Like, where'd the chat go? Oh, how appropriate. Here's my olives. I'm talking about calories. So we're doing multiple of 10, right?
I haven't got that far. I'm trying to page down. I'm
Oh,
having, it's me and my fat fingers. Okay, goodness sakes. There we go.
take forever to burn a candy bar. Let's just put it that way.
That's why we don't, that's why, no, sorry. Why will this not move for me? There we go. Yeah, multiples of 10, definitely.
What is the pattern? It's a 1 to 10 ratio. Maybe.
Oh, I don't jog.
Nobody does. They run now.
Oh. I'm built for comfort, not speed.
Rule words. Okay, so how do we do that?
Rule in words. You have to oh, they want it in words. Okay. For every minute of jogging, you can burn 10 calories. Which really doesn't sound like a lot of calories.
It isn't. It takes, you cannot out exercise the food you eat.
That's no fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 215 calories. And divided by 10. So you're gonna have to jog 21 and a half minutes just to burn a Snicker bar.
Oh,
And I like Snickers.
I haven't had a Snickers in a long time. I'm eating the sugar-free peppermint patties.
Oh, the ones that are the mint.
Yes,
I love them things. But
those.
but it really triggers the sugar need too, doesn't it? For me, it does.
There's two in a serving, so I very rarely eat a whole serving. So
The rule for an algebraic equation.
would be
So it would be number of minutes means 10 equals calories burned. Well, please keep writing the same thing over and over. So now how do we write the formula?
would it be 10x equals C?
No.
X being minutes. Does that make sense? X equals minutes. C equals calories.
Oh, easy.
Oh.
Now I want to know how. No, I don't really know how many calories.
Don't look.
Hey, it's my okay stuff because
Oh.
otherwise I could only eat drink water, and apparently that's in that 60 calories in 2 tablespoons. Right? Oh,
Well, we were talking servings in reading class the other day, and yeah, we don't eat the servings. We eat it's servings versus our proportions.
So when I got my new pickup in July, I had it about not even maybe a whole month, and got a rock chip that shook the whole thing. Well, the way it went, it didn't bother me, but I had, it had like, it didn't even have 500 miles on it. But I had windshield protection for the first year, so I have to pay like $599, but then I get 500 back, so it cost me $99 to replace it. But I have to do it within the first year, so they're ordering it.
Get that in, get that done.
And then if you buy the extended plan, which is $1,000, then windshields only cost $100 to replace. Well, considering I put the windshield, before it even had 500 miles on it, I'm thinking I should pay the 1,000 because it's, what is it? I can't remember. It's $1,200 for a windshield for that stupid thing.
That sounds like a lot. Oh my God.
Well, all of your electronics are now in your windshields.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Okay, so what are we at?
I just finally got it paged down. So
Right, that's pretty good equation. $300 calories. So if I work for an hour, I can eat a Snicker.
well, I had an egg. So that's
70 calories, and that's awesome calories.
See, and I thought, I feel much better. I felt better about that.
And I should bring you some of my fresh eggs. They're amazing.
Well, then they're talking about the bird flu and all that stuff. And anyway.
You're not going to get it from eating an egg.
Well, now it's in cows and in milk. Oh my God, no. Anyway.
I don't drink milk anyway, so.
I do just because anyway.
It bothers my stomach, so I haven't had milk except for when I eat ice cream. I haven't had milk in, my oldest one's 21, so I've never really drank milk since.
I feel bad for anybody who's lactose intolerant because I love cheese.
Cheese doesn't work the same.
Oh, really?
Hard cheeses don't work the same. Some people can tolerate it. There's a difference between allergy and intolerance. A small amount of cheese I can definitely tolerate. Now, if I were to eat cheese every day in quantities, I see some people eat cheese.
Not good.
But you could have. I sprinkle a little cheese on my egg or something. Yeah, that won't hurt. Not me anymore.
Good.
Oh, but housekeeping, yeah, I gotta go home and do that. That's probably. Is there any direct correlation between how messy your house is and how fast you do it, though? Variables. If you have to bend over a lot to pick stuff up, that's different than washing the dishes.
That's it. That's right.
What
Or
patterns do you see? Or there
the washing machine is located.
Yeah, well, that's in my master bath. So
mine's in my basement.
I have the hookups in my basement. I had it there for years. When we built our house, I requested that and I got it. So
Sounds fair.
And yet everybody at my house likes to tell me when they did a load of laundry. It's a hell boiling the water and getting a rock big enough and rubbing and then hanging them out on the line. Oh, wait. I even take care of hauling the laundry soap in.
Cute.
I don't know what to do. What pattern do you see? Did this one have like some had calories and some had minutes, or was it like all the minutes were filled in, but the calories weren't? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know.
Oh, you filled it in? Or you didn't fill it in?
Oh, I didn't feel I didn't.
You filled it.
I don't think it was like this. There we go. I'm like, what the heck?
You see, well, it's 1 to 5 ratio.
1 to 5. right?
Are there multiple ways of solving this problem? Well, sure, if you know the number, you could know the number of calories you have to burn because of what you ate, and then you have to figure out the number of minutes of house cleaning you have to do.
And like you said, how clean do you want your house to be?
Well, I said we couldn't do variables,
Right.
but those would be variables.
Is my,
It's way more work to vacuum than it is to wash your dishes. Well, I mean, physically, not mentally, maybe.
well,
Or throwing a load of laundry in. Unless you have to go to the basement and
the
haul it up and down.
well, and I hang mine on the line sometimes, not today, but you know.
Well, when we put our swimming pool in, my clothesline, my swimming pool is now, well, to put my clothesline, it retracts. I'd have to hang my clothes over my pool. So that
Oh.
sort of defeats the whole thing. And for 5 years, I swear to God, I've asked for them to move the clothesline. Because I can't move the pool.
No, don't move the pool. That would way easier and less expensive. to
The
move.
struggle that I have, Karen.
That's terrible. Hey, we got it. I had a retractable clothesline once and I hung a load of whites out and it collapsed and I said,
Oh.
never again.
That sucks.
I was very unhappy.
I
So,
can understand that.
so then I did another load of whites.
Okay, now the rules as an, oh, okay, so
5-1.
what is the pattern here? It's a 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Well, it's 5-1.
Oh, no, I was looking at the next one now, sorry.
I'm sorry, I haven't
Reading or watching TV, sitting, so doing
Oh.
nothing.
doing nothing. Shh.
So all day long, I don't burn calories, and my son says, I got 25,000 steps today. I'm like, they're paying you to exercise.
No. Oh, shoot. Yeah, definitely.
For every minute you sit,
Oh,
you only burn
you
one
burn
calorie.
one. So when you're binge watching, no, that doesn't help.
So you have to sit for 3.5 hours,
Oh my God.
3.5 hours to burn a Snicker bar.
Oh my God. It's horrible.
So that's a serious binge watching.
But you think about it, when you're binge watching something, you're eating.
Oh, it's a variable.
That I'm serious. Think about it.
Variable.
It's horrible. That is horrible.
What happens if you are eating while watching TV?
I mean, think about it. Anyway, unless it's like a football game or something and you're jumping up and down.
Boy, you really get into that, don't you?
Well,
Now, when I go to a football game at school, luckily in our school, we get to walk along and watch it. So
you know, when my son played football, and I remember my first B football game, it's like, oh my God, this is so fun.
it is, isn't it?
You never sit down during the football game.
So much fun.
It is, and it's like, and then they tackle out of bounds and they're at your feet, you got to jump out of that.
Then I go watch Heron play, and I'm like, oh, I sit in the bleachers. I can't really see anybody.
That's it. And it's no fun. B schoolers are so much luckier than A schoolers. Sorry.
The rule as an algebraic equation. So you're writing it like an algebraic equation. So 1x equals C, right?
Yeah. Because again,
X is So, I mean, for boredom's sake, we talk about variables because it's like, okay, but you really couldn't, you could really overwhelm some of the people in math.
No, I couldn't do that with, again, I think of Jimmy and that would, he wouldn't have, yeah, that wouldn't work.
But it's interesting.
Food for thought.
Mhm. Using the information from the 3 calorie tables. How long would it have to watch TV to burn the same number of calories as you would half?
It's probably a typo. If it doesn't sound right, it's probably me.
It's okay. Okay, so it's a 1 to 1 versus a 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Yeah, 1 to 10. How long would you have to
I don't know.
burn the same number of
Too long.
as you would for half-hour jogging? Oh, this is kind of fun because, okay, so this becomes, so that's 30 minutes.
That's 30 minutes.
So 30 minutes equals 300 calories.
100 calories, yep.
So you would have to go 300 minutes. So did you write this in a formula?
Okay, so
How would you
We-
create the table?
we have 1x equals c. And we have, oh, MD. Times 30.
So how would you create your table
The table.
with 2 different sets of variables? Or is it 2 tables? Do you have to do 2 tables?
How can you use the table to arrive at the solution?
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You just do the minutes the same.
Just to, well, because we're
What is spreadsheet?
30 minutes is 300 calories. And if you are only burning,
Minutes here. And you would do sitting here, and then you would do jogging here. Okay, so 1 minute equals 1 calorie or 10 calories. 2, 20, 10, 10. So we'll go back. Like that. Would that make sense? But
well, because we're using the same, minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute sitting and 1 minute jogging, we have our variables, 1 and 10. So do we want to change the 2 minutes to 20? The jogging, I should say. Does that make sense? No, I can't. There we go.
And then you go, so you want to do, instead of, you want to do 20 minutes?
Well, because if you spent 2 minutes,
Equals that times 10. And then you go down.
because if it's 10 times X, and X is minutes. So if we did it for 30 minutes, it would be 300 calories. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. That's why I don't jog.
That's interesting. I thought that would work. I always like these things work so well in spreadsheets because you can change a lot of things and they don't spend all their time doing math. They're spending more time trying to figure out why that equals that. You know what I'm saying? So I can easily change, okay, so we're at 40 here. I could change it to 50 here, change it here. Then I just go back here and I update and it just changed it for me.
Oh.
You know, so you can experiment without having to get your paper all messy.
And it does it for you, which is nice.
But you still have to know how to do the formula. So
That's
you still
right.
have to know your formula.
Exactly.
I use this a lot with my kids. Because they still have to think about the formula right. And they're like, okay, does that make sense? Do you have the formula right? Because would that really do that? So then they're still figuring that out.
You're still have to do it.
But we're spending our time on the formula and understanding what it does rather than the math, which they already know how to do.
Which is always
the simple math. I mean, the simple math.
Ugh.
I don't know. Can you use the equation to arrive at the solution? How long would you have to watch TV?
So we've got 1x.
So it's still 10x, right? I mean, it's still the formula. 10x equals C, right? Or am I?
Well, that's for the actual physical, but we said 1x equals C for the inactivity.
But the question is, how long would you have to watch TV to burn the same number of calories as you would for half-hour jogging? So, oh, what about this one though? What about if you did, okay, so X here equals, okay, so calories in minutes. So calories, you burn 10 calories. I'm agreeing with Nikita. This is where I want to just write.
Oh yeah, I totally get it.
Okay, so this is calories. And then this is minutes. So you can do 10. Okay, so if it takes, if in 30 minutes you're gonna do 300 calories. Then we want to know how many minutes to get 300 calories. So it'd actually be like 300. Ah, no. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to do a cross multiplication one, but I can't get there because it's too hard. Okay, so if
Oh,
30 minutes
okay.
is 300 calories, how many minutes do I have to go if, no,
So if,
well, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's
right, right.
you can't get past the whole. Okay, so for every, no, how do I do that?
Well, if for our ratio, it's going to be the same. It's going to be, if you do calories over minutes, it's going to be, and I know
I'm trying to set up as a cross multiplication
right.
problem.
Uh-huh. I know, and that's what I've got going here too. And I'm like, well, it's not, sorry. I'm gonna try it this way. 1 over, because it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's 1/1.
Hmm.
It's, I don't know. I don't know.
Could be that hard.
No, that's just it. It's like, I can make anything really difficult.
So for 30 minutes, I'm gonna do 300 calories. So it's a 1-to-10 ratio. And this is a 1-to-1 ratio. So, and if they take this times 30, and so they take. It'll make somebody more confused.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're way overthinking it. I think it's just a simple table and don't let it go any further than that.
Well, we know that you're not going to burn any calories sitting. I mean, it's right there. I don't know. One to one and 10-to-1. Calories over time. 10-to-1 and 1-to-1. It's just, I don't know. It's probably really simple, but I can't see it. Because it's 10-to-1. 10 minutes. I don't know. 10 calories for 1 minute. I don't know.
moved on.
Oh, shoot.
Lot of cucumbers, I'm gonna stop eating taco.
What's that?
I'm out of cucumbers, so I'm gonna stop eating hummus.
Cucumbers are good for you.
They're like almost a negative calorie.
Oh, I like that idea. Oh, no. Should we put that as a variable? No, okay, I'm kidding. That's
If I eat a Snicker and a cucumber at the same time.
there you go. I wonder if that works.
I'd have to eat a garden of them.
Shoot.
I don't understand. The 60-mile, the next one down. Write in words what what each one says. You have 60 miles for 1 hour. All right, we did that. A possible solution, drive a car on the highway. Okay. So it's 15 cents. It costs you 15 cents for every mile you drive. So possible solution. So be driving a car on a highway. I don't know.
There you go. That driving a car on the highway. A possible situation. Okay, driving a car on the highway. Driving this, okay.
How about travel cost to go? and
Cents for every mile you drive.
How about that? Travel costs to drive to work each day.
That would be a situation.
Maybe fuel costs would be
Yeah, because that makes sense. Yeah, you have to, yeah, okay.
100 calories a day. You need 2 Snickers.
2 Snickers. How many calories are in a Snicker?
Like 215.
Oh,
That must
That-
not be a very big Snicker.
that's not a very big Snicker. That's, you could eat 11, almost 12 of those for 2,500
A
calories.
fun bar is 15. How much is a fun bar? 73 calories in a fun bar.
It's a fun bar.
The little ones,
Oh,
the minis. Not
So
the minis, they're this big.
don't even-
They're like-
don't even bother. You gotta have the big one. Make it count.
Well, then it's 229 for the 1.66 ounce one. There's a regular conversion chart for energy units. Google for this.
Oh. So the energy you burn when
No.
you eat one of those?
How many calories are in a Snicker bar? And it's
Oh,
for
God.
energy. Well, we can't, it's the same as calories. There's a link.
Inwards.
Okay, 2,500 calories a day. Inwards.
Inwards. The
How-
amount,
Oh,
somebody who is an athlete can eat more than,
most of us can't eat 2,500 calories a day. And
exactly, and
okay.
Our
So we
need-
say a runner needs to consume 2,500 calories a day to maintain their weight.
or their energy level. And they can eat pasta and it's not there.
Okay. So this is where you could go negative too. No, that still doesn't work because if you eat too much, then your energy level is going to go down too. So that doesn't make sense.
I don't know. don't know.
It doesn't really make sense.
That doesn't, I don't know.
I think it's still maintain your weight.
Maintain your weight, yeah.
So for every
Hmm.
let's say the athlete I'm just gonna do 200 pounds because I don't want to figure like 180 because it's too much work.
Too much work, definitely.
Or you could do 100 pounds.
Well, maybe they're a gymnast. No.
Yeah, yep. The other 12. Okay. But you're still not gonna know. There's not a, no, that still doesn't work because you have, okay, so what happens if they do 2,400 calories a day? You don't know how much they're gonna lose.
Right,
You have
right.
that ratio.
Ratio.
There's probably something so obvious and we think he is gonna rattle it off, but
Oh, yes, and that's cool. Or do we say to main, okay. How about if you're on a diet or you need to gain weight? Think of wrestlers. They're going up a weight class.
never go up a weight.
Well,
They always starve them.
well, no, my son was actually, he had to gain weight because he was one of the smallest heavyweights. And what was it? It was like 220, was it 225? I don't know, but yeah, anyway. That's why it was easier to be an offensive lineman than a wrestler. Anyway. I don't know.
2,500 calories a day. How about this? And then your table can be number of people, number of calories. So if one person consumes 2,500, make this simple. Then 10 people will consume and 20 people would consume 50,000
That's a lot.
and 100 people consume a lot. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, comma,
Oh,
2
Lord.
million. We make it as simple as that.
It's a table. A possible situation. Sumo wrestlers.
I just laughed out loud. That was hilarious.
This was the hard one.
Hard.
This one's hard.
Oh. Writing the problem is hard or the whole activity?
Trying to come up with a scenario that includes
Oh.
2,500 calories a day. 'Cause
Right.
it can't be like if you eat 2,500 calories a day, you maintain your weight. Okay, what happens if you make less? Well, I don't know, because I don't know what you're gonna lose if you only eat 100 less, or if you eat 1,500 less, you know, you don't have enough information to create.
Yeah, but you could say how many, like you could do, how many calories do you eat in a week, in a month, in a year, in a, you know? So, I mean,
So
there's
instead
other,
of
but I
people-
like your number of people though.
You could also,
So-
so the people could just be with
You
Dave.
could, maybe maybe you are a banquet, service and you need to make enough, have enough calories for people to eat for the day. I don't, you know, I mean, this is just a scenario, possible.
Maybe we're
scenario.
responsible for feeding Olympians. And
There
they
you
all
go.
have to consume 2,500 calories a day. How many calories do I need to buy in a week?
There you go. That's a lot of calories.
You
I
start
see your
adding-
1,000.
The problem is a lot of the scenarios start adding a lot of variables, and then that gets to be overwhelming.
Yep,
The variables can be entertaining.
they can. The sumo wrestlers, that was pretty entertaining.
Sorry.
Oh, so good.
Possible situation. Feeding Olympians. It is the Paris Olympics. It's the summer.
I suppose sumo.
I don't know.
Sumo. It's
Sumo. SUMO? Sumo.
I can't spell. Oh, it's a question mark anyway. How about that?
I think that works. That's it.
I'm still grasping.
How much, and then we could talk about the pounds of food we would need to provide those calories. That could be fun too. Unless it's Snickers.
Welcome back.
It's hard to fit all that information in one thing.
Welcome back. I know y'all, some of y'all didn't get to the extension. Some of you did, and some of you got through everything. So, but I wanted to give us enough time to kind of debrief about it, ask questions about it, and so I heard a lot. So, but I'm gonna let you guys kind of speak first. But so what did you think about these activities as a learner, as a teacher? You can unmute and speak. It's fine.
I felt like I kept going down the rabbit hole of variables,
Okay, so it's a lot of variables. Yes.
or it could be, you know,
Yes.
because when you're trying to make a real story for this to make sense and relate to real life, all of a sudden you add all these variables, and then it becomes very much overwhelming.
Yes. Life is messy.
Math shouldn't be.
But it can be, because these are models. So I love these problems because of the fact that they try to model what's going on, but we know there are other latent variables that we can't always determine.
I liked like how it was scaffolded and it was challenging, but it wasn't so challenging that I was going to check out, and it wasn't too easy that I was going to check out.
Okay. Okay. So it was just right.
Yeah.
Good. So I did hear, I don't even remember what group it was that this may be overwhelming for some students, just all the tables and whatnot. And thinking about, the different inputs, outputs, and just being overwhelmed by that.
I know Nikita in our group made a really good point that she mentioned that if her students are stressed, I really should let you speak, Nikita. Maybe you can talk about that since it was your comment, but I thought it was really good what she had to say.
I was saying that I noticed that I can have students who score really high on their TABE math test, and then when we look at the list of classes, which is in a table, they have a really hard time reading it, and I think it's that they're really nervous. So, we were talking about test anxiety before that, sometimes students see tables and a student that you wouldn't think would struggle with something then is struggling.
Yes. So one thing that you can model sometimes math without having the worksheet in front of them. Like if you have a really low level or a nervous or an anxious learner, you could get the teacher book recommends using pennies, but sometimes when you're in a prison facility, you can't take money in there. So I would just say some kind of a marker of some kind. Could be Nikita's little Lunchables or whatever that she showed us yesterday. Just some kind of a marker like that, and have like one student every 15 seconds, like when we're thinking about the heartbeat, every time that happens, every 15 seconds, to put down like one of those markers. And then the other student, for every pulse rate, they like maybe take paper clips and make a pile. And then they look at after a whole minute's gone by, they can look at, okay, how many paper clips do I have to how many like Lunchables or whatever your marker is, to see if there's a relationship that's visual to them in that aspect. One of the problems did ask about, is there another way to arrive at an answer? I think it was the one with housekeeping. And so I thought about it like this. I think they give you that 15 minutes is 75 calories. And so I thought, okay, well, on a clock, that's pretty easy to articulate, because then I can say at every 15 minutes, we can kind of see that there's a pattern that's going on here. And so this allows for me to see that if this pattern continues, then at 30, because 15 more minutes pass, so it'd be a total of 30, 15 more minutes pass. And so thinking about the amount of calories, just another type of a visual reference to, because most people have seen a clock, or maybe they can't read the clock, but they know like that it breaks into quarters. And so just helping them try to think about math more in a visual type of a way, instead of always just the in and out tables. This is kind of a diagram type of a situation. Did anybody else have anything like that they? I know, Nikki, you started sharing your screen and writing, so that's nice with your group. But did you guys come up with any other ways of solving?
We talked a lot about how it really depends on the student's prior knowledge too. Like for me, I would immediately look at that, and my first instinct would be to divide. But if a student isn't really comfortable with the idea that division is just multiplication backwards, it might not make sense to them or be apparent why you would do that. And also I mentioned, that back when I was taught math, we were taught things like for example, in that first chart, well, when you multiply by 10, you just put a 0 at the end. But then that doesn't really explain to students why. That doesn't help them outside of that units of 10 situation, you know?
Mhm.
So trying to find a way to explain it and have them work through it where it's actually going to apply to any situation, you know, is more
Mhm.
useful, I think.
Mhm. So at the end of activity 2, they were having you write situations, and that's what Kim was talking about. Those were more challenging. So there is a whole body of literature that has just been released on. They didn't look at adult learners, but they looked at kids at 5th grade, 8th grade, and then I think at like freshmen in college, looking at, they call that problem posing, seeing if that deepens their mathematical understanding, and then also does it help them connect math to the real world. And it's interesting, some of the findings, because we find that at the lower level, the grades, the grade school kids, they're more about, they don't care if there's a tangible purpose. They just want to do it, just do the math. I don't care that it relates to, I don't want to have to contrive some scenario. It was not a very favorable experience. The 8th graders, they took it, they did it, it was more like a moderate type of a response. And then you get up to the freshmen in college, which, it's a amalgamation of different age groups and different backgrounds and all kinds of stuff. And those students actually were more interested in the mathematical concepts because of the fact that they were real life type of examples that they came up with. So I just wanted to throw that study out there, and I can definitely send you some if you want to do research. But I also want to point out that this comes from this is your ANI book, this is the teacher book, but this lesson, the body at work, is actually, it builds, so this is the first lesson. This is, I think, lesson 3 in this book. And then there's lessons 4 and 5 that just continue to build on this idea of our body. And so I just want to remind you that that curriculum is there, because thinking about how this real life activity can help aid your students in understanding abstract algebraic concepts. I mean, a few of you spoke about that today. Like, I think my big win for today is Darcy saying that she can do algebra. So that's my big win of the day. So, to see that really, when it comes right down to it, if we get to the research that's inside the ANI, it is this idea that algebra really is a situation in the middle, and it's framed by all these things. It's something you can articulate in words. Maybe a student can't write the formula or the equation, but maybe they can articulate, like they could say, well, it appears that for every minute I sit on the couch, I burn a minute or I burn 1 calorie. Like that's to me, that's a win for some students, just getting them to understand, okay, yes, that's a pattern. So if you sat there for, and just kind of help them kind of unpack that. And then of course, we could have extended this activity. We didn't graph any. We didn't talk about graphs or y-intercepts, but the next activity on the body of work does have you graph, and you graph your heartbeat of everybody in the class, and talking about the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and where do you see that, starting putting those abstract vocab words in there, slope and things like that. So I just want to encourage you to dust that curriculum that you have in your programs off the shelf and take a look at it. The lessons are built in a way that they do build on each other, but they don't necessarily have to. And that's one thing that I like about this curriculum, is that it is easier for our students to digest. And then they give you suggestions on how do you make it easier? How do you make it harder? And so by getting out there and seeing what's there, this is stuff that you can get at. Somebody might have even taken some home from our first institute. I think, Kim, you had you had some of these books left over and some people took home some of them, so that's good. Any thoughts about this activity? Did you know that you had this in your center? I know, Nakia, I heard you say it, that you've used it. Jeremy, I see you nodding. Okay, Karen, good. Yeah, we forget about things, and actually when you think about the time spent, when you allow a student to unpack, you're empowering them to remember it a lot more, because you can always reference it back. You can say, when you're doing something with linear equation, you say, you remember that day that we took that pulse and we were creating those in and out tables? And I mean, they'll always draw back on that experience. So it's good to have these types of experiences for our learners. Okay, I've got just some final thoughts here. So remember that adults need a context for the content. So they need to know that why. They need to know, how is this going to change my life? How is this helping me? How do I understand? I mean, Jeremy, your story about being a CNA and this is what nurses do, that's excellent. To have that first-hand knowledge that it is something that is done, that this isn't just made up. It's not two trains leaving the station, and so I think that that's important. Being able to help our students understand that math can be used to solve immediate problems. And that's really the best teaching opportunity. So as students start to tell you about what's going on in their week or their day, listen to what they have to say, look for the math in what they have to say, and then see if you can extend that into some type of a problem, especially, because we know that our students can sometimes fall victim to predatory practices with finances. So bringing in that financial literacy piece is also a great opportunity. A lot of algebraic thinking in some of that as well. And then helping students to see where the math is used in their life. That will change their perception about math and about their ability to do math. Because see, Darcy, you're a perfect example of saying what you've done today. Like, you're like, I've been doing algebra all along. Yes, you have. So does anybody have any final thoughts? Go for it, Ruth.
Yeah, I think we have problems. Okay.
Bruce, we can't hear you.
Does it
Maybe
work?
turn off your camera.
Hear
Yeah.
me?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm getting back. There you go. That
Camera came back
Oh.
on.
unstable network. Oh, wait, where's my face? It's still there.
That's okay. We can hear you though.
Oh, okay, very good. When our students are doing problems like this, where they do one and then a layer is added and then a layer is added, to point out to them that how the problem is going to look on the GED is going to be like that final form or the intermediate form, that you've got to do a couple of steps to get there. And so, just letting them see.
I think,
I don't know.
Ruth, I think that's a really important point. And Elena had referenced that, we noticed they were scaffolded, right? The first table, or maybe that was in one of the extensions, right? The tables were provided and then partial tables were provided, and then we had to complete the third table completely. And I think scaffolding that, bringing it in, not overwhelming the students, that's a terrific point. Brooke, when you talk about financial literacy, I'm also thinking health literacy, right? We were talking about pulse, beats per minute. We're talking about calories. And then I think it gets into consumer literacy because, wow, bring in a Coke, bubble water, a juice box, you know, sometimes there's that deceptive practice of like, oh, this is only 140 calories. But when you look, that it's like one piece versus, so then, I mean, there's so many opportunities to really impart some meaningful lessons and empower our students across these different domains of literacy.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, and I'm glad you brought that up about health literacy. Part of my dissertation, I did look at numeracy within health literacy, and people that have low numeracy actually do suffer from more health risks because of, and they don't always understand the numbers that doctors throw at them, you know. Think about, you know, sugar. As soon as you said soda, I thought immediately of sodas because my husband is diabetic, and so I try to remind him not to drink sugary stuff, and he's like, oh, it's only got 10 grams. I'm like, 10 do you know how much you know, start having that lecture. But I see that very much, if you don't know unless you've seen it, so being able to be mindful of that. Yeah. Well, thank you
Maybe I
guys
didn't
for,
make my-
oh, go ahead, Ruth, I'm sorry.
I was just to say, maybe I didn't make my point very clearly. I wasn't talking so much about the scaffolding, but like, first you do this, and then using that same data, you do another thing and build on it. That when we've gotten to that third step, to make sure that the students see, okay, this problem here is a 3-step problem. And if this is the problem you see on the GED, you're going to have to generate those previous pieces of information. You've got to figure out, you know, how far that truck can go in so many hours before you can, you know, that they're not going to walk you, they're not going to scaffold it for you on the GED. So I guess, yeah, it is a scaffolding thing that you're going to have to provide your own scaffolding on some of those problems. Because for the most part, they're 2-part, or it's not rare to hit a 2-part problem on the GED, where you got to do a couple things to get the answer. Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for your time. I saw that Kim had sent out the email for here in a couple weeks. We're going to be looking at statistics and geometry. So I hope to see you guys in a few more weeks, and we'll talk about other topics.
Thank you. It was a great day. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great weekend.